I'm here to introduce Michael Fisher. He's the general manager of Harley-Davidson's York Vehicle Operations plant, where he oversees the production of touring, Softail, CVO, and Trike motorcycles. He's responsible for overall plant safety, quality, delivery, cost, people, and sustainability. His career with Harley-Davidson spans over 20 years. He actually started as an hourly bargaining unit employee polishing steel components, fuel tanks, and fenders. He then served in several roles throughout the company. He's been traveling to other U.S. and international locations for a variety of reasons. He was, several years ago, the Director of Operations for York Vehicle Operations, where he was instrumental in leading that big cultural transformation we heard about at another Harley-Davidson talk several years ago during that 3-year restructuring of the York Vehicle Operations. Well, we're glad you're back in New York. Well, I am anyway. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Penn State University. He attended Marquette University's Master in Leadership Studies and Rockhurst University's Hillsburg School of Business MBA program. He's an avid motorcyclist, also a bicyclist, and enjoys barbecuing. He told me up here that Kansas City, where he was recently, is the barbecuing capital of the world, and he has a smoker at his house, in case you're interested. I'm interested in getting an invitation. Anyway, not too subtle. He's married to Marie, the proud parents of one little girl, Kylie, who's 2.5. Turn it over to Mike.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, thank you. It's an absolute privilege to be here, and so appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to talk a little about Harley-Davidson. Really, 3 key themes I want to talk about is Harley past, present, and really how we connect with the community. Harley's purpose is to fulfill dreams of personal freedom. These are dreams that transcend gender, race, and culture. And we find as the decades pass how our customers want to experience Harley-Davidson continues to change. We take this responsibility not only seriously, but quite honestly, we relish it. And as our customers lead us in new and innovative places, we find that we are constantly having to evolve, no different than any other business. Because what we believe is that being Harley-Davidson is much more than just building motorcycles. We believe it's given people a way to experience the open road differently. We believe that it's a way to give individuals a blank canvas by which they can paint who they are and express what they aspire to be. We believe that it is bringing people together through motorcycle riding, as well as events, and ultimately we believe it's creating this deep emotional connection every time someone looks, sees, or hears a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. For us, history matters, so I'd like to talk a little bit about our past. The concept of motorizing a traditional bicycle far beyond what anyone imagined at the time started with 2 neighbors who also became friends in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, William S. Harley and Arthur Davidson. In 1903, they finished their first motorcycle. They painted Harley-Davidson Motor Company on the door of a small wooden shed, and a legend was born. Truly an authentic American garage startup. Give some more context as history progressed. In 1912, Harley-Davidson sold their first motorcycle outside the U.S., incidentally to a customer in Japan. By 1920, they were the largest global motorcycle manufacturer, selling in over 67 countries. So think about that. At a time in the early 1900s, before transcontinental flight was even a possibility, Harley-Davidson created enough enthusiasm around the world to be the #1 motorcycle manufacturer in just 17 years from starting out of a wooden shed. Harley supported our troops in World War II. They produced over 70,000 motorcycles for the war effort. The decision to go to war, per se, proved to be a pivotal decision for the brand. As GIs returned home, they were familiar with Harleys and they preferred it. Ultimately, it's the reason why Harley ended up being, at the time, the only surviving U.S. motorcycle manufacturer. In 1956, Harley-Davidson ceased private ownership and did the initial public stock offering. I bring that up because the importance is in 1969 they merged with American Machine Foundry Company, AMF. And why that's important for York is that's how Harley-Davidson and York, Pennsylvania converged paths. At the time, AMF owned the factory here in York, Pennsylvania, but they produced things like snowmobiles, golf carts, bomb casings, bowling alley, pin spotters. So in 1973, AMF brought Harley-Davidson to York, Pennsylvania. Under the AMF era, motorcycling went from really successful in the early 70s to by late 70s, the turn of the century, the 80s, of being high competition and really low sales. So in 1981, AMF made the decision to exit the motorcycle industry. They gave then 13 Harley-Davidson executives the opportunity to purchase the company under private ownership. Quite honestly, a task that demonstrated the resilience of the leadership as well as the strength of the brand as they pulled it out of near bankruptcy. Today, through our constant reinvention and our adapting to changing times, we are better positioned to not only deliver to our customers, but continue to fulfill these dreams of personal freedom around the world. We currently have 7 factories, including one in Brazil, one in India. We have 21 sales offices around the world, including, in addition to our headquarters in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We currently have a little over 6,400 hardworking employees, and nearly half of those are dedicated to manufacturing. And currently we sell to 90 different countries around the world through 1,460 independent dealerships. As we say at the factory, we are exporting freedom every day through Harley-Davidson motorcycles. And locally, the York facility is the largest Harley-Davidson facility that we have, more population than any of our other sites. We host over 32,000 public tours every year, and as well, we've produced over 4.5 million motorcycles to date. So I can stand here and tell everyone we authentically have a world-class factory here in York, Pennsylvania. For anyone who hasn't visited, by all means, please be one of those 32,000. But unfortunately, we've not always been world-class. Several of you may have been here a couple years ago when Ed McGee, the then general manager, came out and talked about the transformation. Well, I'd just like to do a recap, just to remind those that were here and maybe those that weren't. That transformation started December 2009 when our local IAM union ratified an extremely progressive new labor agreement. It was an 89% acceptance vote, so 89% said yes. And this was them voting yes, knowing that over half the jobs would leave the factory and that we would ultimately run the shop in a completely different way. I view that as their commitment to keep Harley-Davidson in New York, as well as their willingness to sacrifice what it meant to run a factory under a new system. During that time, we went from 42 buildings, you can very much see it if you drive along Route 30, down to 2. So large campus to 2 buildings. We went from 62 very traditional job classifications to a progressive 5. We went from being extremely vertically integrated, so we made plated components, a lot of bracketry, just small items, to now focused on the things that we know are core competencies. We manufacture frame systems, fuel tanks, fenders, we paint, and we assemble. Truly our core competencies. We went from over 2,000 hourly down to a little over 800. We went from nearly 300 salary down to 120. And today, we employ anywhere from 100 to 500 seasonal temporary production workers, depending on the time of the year and the seasonality of customer demand. Our new factory is clean, organized, well-lit, and we have a highly integrated ERP system that helps facilitate our operation. If anyone ever visited the old factory, you would have seen we physically had inventory piled to the ceilings. And that was to buffer for production interruptions as well as any kind of schedule variation. Today, we average a world-class less than 3 hours of inventory in the marketplace. We use our ERP system to do sequencing, metering, and low inventories so that we are able to respond to any schedule changes, production fluctuations, which makes us ultimately more competitive because we can produce the right vehicle at the right time when the customer wants it. And in 2013, we received the Industry Week Best Plants Award. So if anyone's not familiar with it, Industry Week's an organization People submit, and the York facility was one of 7 in the entire United States that was named as one of the best factories, which we're very, very proud of. So I believe that our history of our ups and downs really demonstrates our ability to adapt as times change, but as well staying very much true to our brand and our riders. Our focus today is on continuous improvement across the entire business. I firmly believe, and I said this in an article a couple years ago in the Central Penn Business Journal, that what's more important for a business is the rate that they are improving versus their current state. The faster you can improve, it'll determine whether or not you outpace your competition as well as please your customer. We're dedicated on focusing on improving our products and our processes faster than our customer expects and faster than our competition is capable, which I believe is what keeps us ahead of the marketplace and ultimately it's that CI mindset that makes us successful. At our most recent stage of reinvention, so as Ed stood here and was talking about the transformation we were doing at the factory, we truly transformed our entire business process from how we design, manufacture, and as well sell motorcycles in the marketplace. Changed our entire business model except the things that really made us successful. First and foremost, the look, sound, and feel of a Harley-Davidson. That has not changed. We developed an entire new product development methodology. Because what we have today is more market and customer research than we ever had in the past. We have more voice of customer input, and what I think is important is not only voice of the customer, those buying motorcycles today, but as well as those who could potentially be customers in the future. And with our new product methodology, we're able to innovate faster, more efficiently. We have more capacity for new products than we ever had before. And the proof is in the fact that in the last 3 years, Harley's brought more new motorcycles to the marketplace than any of our competitors. So for overall in our performance, results speak for themselves. Inside the United States, and this may not surprise many, but we are the undisputed U.S. market share owner of actually all market segments. So one market segment we call our core customer. That is the white male over the age of 35. That would be me. Right? So you want to know what a core customer looks like? He's talking. But that probably doesn't surprise most. But what many may not realize is we are also the #1 market share in the United States of all of our outreach. So we're #1 of women riders, African American, Hispanic, and young adults, which we deem as age of 18 to 34. So we're #1 in all market shares in the United States. By far, in many instances, we sell more than all of our competition combined for all displacements. In addition, globally, we're #1 in many other markets. We're #1 in Canada, #1 in Mexico. When we start looking internationally, we get classified as heavyweight motorcycles. So in some markets, that's 450 cc's, others that's 601 and up. But again, Canada, Mexico, #1 in Australia, #1 in Japan, and #1 in India, which is why we have a factory there. So through all this, though, we couldn't do it without community support. And it's our responsibility to give back. And we do this through a couple focus categories: revitalization, education, health, arts and culture, and environmental initiatives. We aspire not only to help those in need, but we want to make this a better community for all York citizens. Each year we give more than $250,000 of cash, merchandise, and even a motorcycle to local, vital, not-for-profit organizations to help them achieve their mission. One that I'm particularly proud of is we recently committed $75,000 to the Springersbury Park Playground Project, which I believe creates a better place for our children and grandchildren to play outside. If they play out there long enough, they may actually end up wanting to ride a motorcycle. Long-term plan. We don't just provide financial services. We encourage our employees, and they get involved in the community. I look at the past year, we've had individuals donate blood. We just had a blood drive on site at the factory in the last couple of weeks. We've had individuals teach lessons in local schools to local students. We've prepared and served meals in hospitals for patients' families, donated school supplies and clothing, donated food, planted trees, pulled bushes, and raised awareness for against domestic violence and racism. Most recently, a sizable group, myself included from the factory, came out and ran in the Race Against Racism 5K. In fact, internally, we awarded individuals who placed in the top 3 in their category. And I was excited because we had several individuals who did place. I did not. It's the barbecuing.
Yes.
And yes, I too, in years past, have donned a pair of high heels and walked a mile in her shoes while my wife and daughter watched. Not looking forward to it again. In addition to volunteer, we have the privilege of being able to serve on local boards. So to name a few, we have staff members on United Way, Community Progress Council, Manufacturing Association, Habitat for Humanity. Bernadette is on, she required me to do a shout out, the York County Crime Stoppers, and myself on the York County Economic Alliance. So these are just a few ways that we've made a positive and noticeable impact in our community. So we view this as this is where we live, right? And our co-workers, our family, our friends, and our neighbors are all here. And we want to see this community be strong, skilled, and sustainable. And it'd be simple for us to write a check. I think a lot of times individuals think as a corporation, they write a check and then they're invested in the community. We believe in taking it a step further and having ourselves and our employees get involved. And it's really our way to give back to the community where we live, work, play, and most assuredly, ride our motorcycles. So with that, I'll conclude. Thank you.